You don't actually hate small talk. You hate the version of yourself you become during it. The polite smile, the rehearsed answers, the strange awareness of your hands. You walk away thinking, why am I like this? But what if the problem isn't conversation? What if it's performance? It usually happens in ordinary places, an office hallway, a wedding table, a friend of a friend's birthday. Someone asks, so, what do you do? And suddenly your brain isn't listening anymore. It's calculating. How do I sound interesting? How do I not sound arrogant? How do I not sound boring? Your voice shifts slightly. Your laugh becomes timed. Your sentences get edited mid-air. You're not talking. You're managing impressions. By the end of the interaction, you're tired. Not because the conversation was deep, but because you were monitoring yourself the entire time. This is the hidden contradiction. You crave connection, but you dread social spaces. You tell yourself you hate small talk, but what you really hate is the feeling of being evaluated. And that changes everything, because this isn't about personality. It's about cognitive load. In psychology, this is called self-monitoring. High self-monitors constantly adjust their behavior based on perceived social expectations. It's not fake, it's adaptive, but it's exhausting. And if you grew up in environments where approval felt conditional, your brain learned to treat conversations like interviews, even when they aren't. And that's where the performance begins. But why does your brain do this automatically? Why does a simple question feel like a spotlight? We need to look deeper. First, this isn't a flaw. It's protection. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between physical threat and social rejection very well. From an evolutionary perspective, being excluded from the group meant danger. So your brain developed a sensitivity to social evaluation. If you're hyper-aware in conversations, it likely means your brain learned acceptance must be maintained. Performance became a survival tool. You learned to scan faces, adjust tone, predict reactions. That skill probably helped you once. Maybe it kept the peace. Maybe it earned praise. Maybe it prevented criticism, but now it activates in harmless spaces. Your brain still thinks, these matters more than it does. You don't hate people. You hate being on stage. And your brain doesn't know the stage lights are off yet. Here's what's happening under the surface. When you enter a social setting, your brain's amygdala scans for threat, not physical threat. Social threat, a raised eyebrow, a pause before someone responds, a neutral face. If the amygdala detects possible rejection, it activates mild stress. Cortisol rises slightly, heart rate increases. Now your prefrontal cortex, the rational, thinking part, gets partially hijacked. Instead of focusing on curiosity, it shifts to impression management. Imagine your brain as a computer. Normally, you'd use one tab for conversation, but during performance mode, 20 tabs open at once. How do I sound? Do they like me? Should I say more? Was that awkward? This is called self-referential processing, largely linked to the brain's default mode network. You're not present in the interaction. You're observing yourself inside it, like watching yourself from outside your body. That's why it feels unnatural. That's why small talk feels draining. It's not the topic. It's the split attention. And here's the quiet twist. The more you monitor yourself, the less connected you feel. Because connection requires attention outward. Performance pulls attention inward. So how do you reduce performance without forcing confidence? Not by being yourself, but by shifting what your brain is measuring. Let's make this simple. 3 shifts, not personality changes, attention shifts. When you notice self-monitoring, deliberately redirect attention to something specific about the other person, their tone, story, or detail. Attention is a limited cognitive resource. Shifting it outward reduces activity in self-referential circuits and quiets performance monitoring. Instead of thinking, "Do I sound smart?" ask, "What's one thing about their job I'm genuinely curious about?" Curiosity competes with anxiety and often wins. Pause briefly before answering. Slowing speech regulates your nervous system through breath pacing. It signals safety to the brain and reduces stress activation. Performance mode rushes. Presence doesn't. When someone asks what you do, take a small breath first, then answer simply. No embellishment. Let silence exist. Silence is not failure. It's regulation. Say one slightly less filtered sentence, not vulnerable, just unpolished. When you act slightly outside the performance script and nothing bad happens, your brain updates its prediction model. This is called prediction error learning. Your brain expects rejection. It doesn't get it. The threat response weakens. Instead of saying, "I love my job, it's great," say, "It's interesting, but I'm still figuring out where I want to take it." Small authenticity reduces internal tension. Before entering a social setting, define success as staying present, not being impressive. Your brain optimizes for whatever metric you set. If the goal is approval, it performs. If the goal is presence, it regulates. At a gathering, measure success by, "Did I stay curious?" Not, "Did they like me?" That single shift changes the nervous system's job. Here's the mental model. Imagine a spotlight. When the spotlight is on you, you perform. When the spotlight is on the interaction, you connect. Performance is inward spotlight. Connection is shared light. You don't need to become charismatic. You need to move the light. Every time you redirect attention outward, pause your response or lower the polish. You're teaching your brain something new. This isn't a stage. It's just two nervous systems talking. And nervous systems calm each other through safety, not perfection. You don't hate small talk. You hate feeling watched. You hate feeling measured. But most people in conversations are too busy measuring themselves to measure you. The stage you feel is mostly in your own mind. And that's not weakness. It's a brain that learned to protect you. Now it just needs a new job, not performing, not impressing, just noticing. Next time you're in a room and feel that familiar tension, don't fix yourself. Move the spotlight. And see what happens when you stop acting and start observing. Maybe small talk was never the problem. Maybe the performance was, and you're finally allowed to step off stage.